Well, hi folks, this is Bozai Guy, and it's been quite a bit of time. So today, I'm going to be showing you some of the more recent changes I've done with the system. Part of it is because my family has taken vacation, and while I'm the only person in the house, I decided, well, why not try making a few changes with the system. More so, I should say, upgrades, as well as correcting a few deficiencies. And yeah. So, let's take a look. We're going to start off here with the panel, and I'm going to open this up. We're not going to come back in here, and it seems like I left an old piece while I was trying to fix it, so I'm going to take that out afterwards. Oh, and I left multiple things behind me. Oh well, things that you do when you have to fix stuff. But anyways, we're going to be focusing, at least right now, on a set of 4 wires, and it's going to be these 4. Now, I know in past videos I have never really demonstrated what these wires do before, but you probably have figured out, since it's Telco right here, it's supposed to be connected to the telephone lines. And it'll make a little bit more sense as we progress along with this video. But these 2 wires, this is your ring and this is your tip wire. You'll also see that there's also an R1 and a T1 right here, a ring 1 and a tip 1 here. And what this is it probably makes sense if I start moving on to the next portion. But what it does is that it seizes the phone line, such that if an alarm does happen to occur, then it can take over this phone line and transmit the alarm signal. And we actually call a I suppose a transmitting a device a digital alarm communication transmitter, or DACT for short, DACT. And you know, most security panels is going to be an integrated DACT as well as a security panel, as you can see right here. I think with fire alarm systems, a DACT is generally separate from the system, though there are modules I can place so that it's integrated as part of the panel. It's all dependent on the system. This one just happens to be integrated. We aren't going to need to go back to the panel, so let's go ahead and collect my trash and go to the next part. So next, I'm going to bring your attention to this patch panel right over here. So if we go ahead and open it up, we have a patch thingy or splitter, I should say, for the coax. We have a terminal blocks for the telephones, and then we have one for our internet. If we focus on rack 2, which is how I accordingly labeled it, we have our telephone line service coming in here from this telephone wire. It's running into here. We have our RJ31X port right over here. We have an expansion on top, but this is a RJ31X port. And then you also have the, suppose anything that's going out. So, as I mentioned before, the security system has to seize the phone line whenever there is an alarm condition. For example, if you have a bunch of peripherals that are connected to this, there are probably going to be a chance that there's going to be some type of phone conversation going on. Especially back in the day when security systems like this one were made, I believe, in the 90s. And you had a lot of people using telephone lines back in the day. Well, if someone happened to be using a telephone line while there was some type of alarm going on at the same time, well, the alarm needs to have priority because, well, it can't communicate that condition to the central monitoring station. So what it does is, it's actually pretty clever how they do it. An RJ31X port looks kind of like an Ethernet port, or RJ31, no, not RJ31, it's an RJ45 port. I actually have a patch cable to show you. Go ahead, bring that. This is your regular Ethernet cord, it's a patch cable. These ports are the same thing, but if I go ahead and plug this in right over here, it fits, and actually it's very nice. And if I go ahead and plug it into the switch here, just to reiterate that it's essentially the same port, but it actually has very different functions. So the way this works is, if you look inside, we have pins, and they are labeled from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 pins, left to right. Pins 4 and 5 are used for the that connect directly to the ring and tip of line 1. Okay. Now pins 1 and 8 are also connected through the security system. That was our T1 and R1 that we saw on our integrated DACT security system. And it will be the same format for pretty much any panel that you encounter. During a normal condition, the 4th and 5th pins are connected directly to pins 1 and 8 through the DACT. But during an alarm condition, the pins 1 and 8 are disconnected such that the security system can exclusively use the ring and tip from the first line. It's actually a pretty cool system. Now, if you don't happen to have a really fancy patch panel like I do, you probably have something like this on your alarm system. This is also an RJ31X port, though it has that signature Ethernet port-like connection. If I open this up, it is going to look a lot different than what an RJ45 port would have inside. Let's go ahead and open it. You see the cover, and we also have all the connections. It looks exactly like you have connections for a phone line. A patch panel for, or I suppose the connections for Ethernet would look more something like this, instead of something with screws on it. So again, you have pins 4 and 5 connected to here, and you also have pins 1 and 8 on the top. During a normal condition, pins 4 and 5 are connected to pins 1 and 8 to provide service to pretty much the whole house. But when there is an alarm condition, pins 1 and 8 are disconnected to provide exclusive access from the security system to the central monitoring station. And we actually call this seizing the phone line. It's also required by NFPA 72. I'll post the I'll show the code requirement to the right of the screen. But it is required, and it's probably a lot less of an issue now that we use cell phones. But when it comes to more landline type phones, this was definitely an issue back in the day. Cool. So let's go ahead and close that up, and we're going to go upstairs to figure out where all of these connections terminate. All right, so I am back upstairs, and to where pretty much most of the, or at least half of the, another third of the important telecom equipment in our house is being hosted. So you'll notice that we have our service connection here. This is the service connection coming from the fiber optic cable translating device. I don't know what it's called. There's probably a technical term. And we also have a cable that leads to the internet switch that was downstairs. And we also have 2 phone lines. Now, this phone line here is, if we go ahead and follow it, it's going to be connected directly to our nice modem / router thingy, multifunction thing for our internet, as well as a voice over IP service. We do not have a traditional phone line, as in fact POTS is actually being phased out, or what they call plain old telephone service. POTS is being phased out, so in the meantime, a lot of people are switching over to voice over IP. And that itself can cause some problems, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. So in order to get a connection, a phone connection to the security system, I had to run a direct service connection from the phone line access down to here. And this is where the Telco, and that is where our the wires for the for port 11, which was at the very right, terminate. You also have this, which is coming from port 10, which is to the left of the RJ31X port. And again, that is kind of important because, well, any type of peripheral that is connected to, or that is needed to be connected to the phone line as well as the security system, has to come after the RJ31X port. And I'll explain a little bit why later. So keep in mind, so the first thing, we have our telephone service, voice over IP, going down to here. From here, it is connected to the patch panel, which is connected to the security system, as well as these wires connected to port 10. And from port 10, it goes to this telephone line to our fax machine to the telephone. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it'll make sense as to why the sequence is actually important. So let's go ahead and demonstrate exactly what I am talking about before we move into the more fun stuff of the security system. So let's talk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug both of these cables and connect it to this right over here. What this is essentially is it's a phone line splitter, and what it does is that it connects between two different it connects two different devices for phone lines or for phone use. More specifically, if you just have one port but you have two devices you want to connect to independently and not have to daisy chain like what I'm doing right now, then you connect them together. Might I remind you that this is the direct service connection to our voice over IP thingy right over there. And this is connecting to the peripherals coming from that patch panel. So there we have it. I have bypassed this port, and I have the service connection going directly to both, or I should say splitting to directly to both the security system, which is going into the wall and down the wires, as well as the phone connections going to the fax machine and the resulting phone. So I'm back at the security system keypad, and right below it is my laptop. And this is a Discord server called Protostar Alarm Monitoring. And what it is it's essentially a hobbyist run alarm monitoring service. I don't want to call it a professional service in no way, but it is something that a few people have set up, and it's actually pretty cool. I'll send a link into if you are interested in connecting your fire alarm or security system to this. But with that being said, what it is it's an automated service that sends you notifications, or at least kind of in a public notification feed of all these stuff that has come in. I am account 27, and you can see that I did some programming stuff early around 1349. So pretty cool stuff right over here. And you'll see a few messages pop up as we run through the system. Now that we have the security system and the telephone service connected in parallel, I suppose, we're going to go ahead and arm the system. What's going to happen is when we arm the system and after the exit delay expires, it's going to send a report to the central monitoring system. And you'll see kind of on this corner all the Discord messages in live, or not really live, but as the system sends all the stuff. And I will also let you listen in on the tones. Now, the fact that I'm going to be able to listen in on the tones is going to be... You'll see that it's going to be a bit of a problem later on. So let's go ahead and arm the system, set it in stay, and we'll go ahead and let the exit delay expire. Alright, so it's going into the last 10 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and take the phone off the hook and mute myself so it doesn't happen. There we go. And that was it. So that is the tones that it's going to be playing out. For the record, the system is running SIA format, which is frequency shift keys. Yeah, FSK. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call this phone from my cell phone. I'm going to go ahead and ask Siri to do that. Call home.
Calling home.
Alright, I'm going to put myself on speaker. I'm going to mute myself for a minute. Okay, so the phone is currently on. And I'm going to let you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go somewhere else in the house while I'm going to speak with you. Okay? And what this is going to show is why having or sharing, I guess, the security system as well as a telephone on the same line in parallel is a bit problematic. I'm probably going to go open one of the windows, and you're going to hear a bunch of stuff go on. Okay, so let's go ahead and what I believe, I'm not sure if I want to do this, but I think I'm going to let it run through all the 8 attempts. This panel is programmed to attempt to dial 8 times before it sends a failed signal locally. Okay, so let's go ahead and go somewhere else in the house.
Okay. So, I am right now at the basement window. Going to go ahead and open it, and it should trigger an instant alarm. Okay. Please open.
Okay, so it looks like everything is going through. I don't know if it dialed though. You can hear it's clicking. And you can see that both of my phone is on mute. So you can see that the panel is currently trying to attempt to dial the alarm, and it is not working, which is problematic because now, since the phone line is still being used, I'm still currently active on the call, it's not going to be able to send any message. And I don't know if it's going to pick up again. Oh, well, it lost signal. So, well, that's rather unfortunate because now it's going to be able to dial out. But in a few moments, it's going to try to attempt to dial again. And the messages should pop up. Oh, and that says the line is now in use. Let's see if we can listen to it. Doesn't seem like it's wanting to work. Alright, so it sent in all of those reports, but the thing is that it delayed, which is really not good because if there is an actual burglar in the house or if there happens to be a house fire, how can this quickly send a message pretty much instantly to the central monitoring service so that they can dispatch in seconds? So there's part of the problem with having to bypass the phone line connection, and that's why I mentioned earlier that the order of which the telephone stuff is connected actually matters, because if the order actually messes up, then, you know, it doesn't help. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and reconnect and reset all the connections here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and reset the previous connections. I could probably leave this in, but I don't want to mess with this early. Actually, no, I'm going to have to use it again, so oh well. So might I remind you that this is connected directly to here. From here it goes to the security system as well as then to this port. So it's kind of connected more into series than it is actually parallel. So right now I'm back downstairs, and let's go ahead and see what happens when we arm the system. Go ahead and put it in stay. Alright, so it's the last 10 seconds of the exit delay. Let's go ahead and hear the dial tone. And you hear that the dial tone cut out. And that is the security system seizing the phone line. See, before we had the security system and phone line connected in parallel. But now, because we have the security system now connected in series from this to now this, and I'm not even sure if it's working, is it? It's going quite slow. Oh, but because we now have it connected in series, this is able to take over the phone line in case there's some type of call going on. Hence why the dial tone decided to cut out. And it looks like it finally went back, so I don't know if did it reset? Should reset. There we go. Yeah, so now we have the dial tone. Okay? Alright, let's do the same thing as we did before, except now we're going to go have an active phone call. So I'm going to go ahead and call home again. Call home.
Calling home.
Alright, we have an incoming call. I'm going to answer that. I'm going to mute this. Alright, let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and open one of the doors, or windows I should say, in the system.
Okay.
looks like it's not wanting to do it. Let's see what happens. Alright, can you hear me? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, and it looks like, and I got cut off. And the phone looks like it's still kind of working. I'm not sure why it's not sending a report instantly. I guess I have to, maybe I have to do that during... Okay, so it looks like it's sending the report, but I'm not hearing any dial tone. What should have happened is after, it should have sent the report instantly. I don't know, I thought I set it to not do a cancel delay. Opening report, burglary bypass, unbypass. Okay, so that didn't work quite the first time, but let's go ahead and see if, I know this is definitely going to work. Let's check this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and arm the system, or let's go ahead and call the phone first. Alright, so the phone is now active, and I'm going to go ahead and arm the system, and I'll do the same thing as last time. I'll go ahead and keep speaking, and then I'll open up a zone that is programmed for instant. I might go upstairs and do it, but let's see.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, there you go. You can now hear me, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to have a, casual small talk conversation. I'm going to place this phone on the window and see, it's a really nice cloudy day. There's currently cloudy. Temperature is about 26 degrees outside.
Okay, it looks like it sees the phone line again. You can see here it says check telephone line because the security system disconnected the phone. And we should get the restoral or the, the opening report. Okay, it's coming through. Burglary on bypass. And burglary on bypass. So yeah, that's essentially what the connections does. Again, I have to reiterate that it is important that you need to connect the security system in series with the telephone stuff that you're going to connect afterwards. Anything that connects before the security system is going to cause a lot of issues in case there is any type of emergency that happens on the premises. Well, anyways, that kind of wraps up all the stuff. It looks like my battery's running out too. DACT. Perfect timing too. That wraps up my demonstration of the security system and the DACT functions that come with it. This was pretty fun to make. So thank you for watching this. If you are interested more in these systems, feel free to leave a comment below and I can try to experiment a little bit more with this. But on the other hand, it might be the last video for a while on this system in particular. So look forward to, I suppose, hearing back from the system again. See you later.